Hey everyone, Pugs here, and today we're going to be reviewing Mermaid and Barnacle Boy and Pickles. So basically, two of the most famous episodes of SpongeBob SquarePants. Not necessarily goats, but like famous nonetheless. So how exciting for me. I guess, like always, thank you to everyone who's been watching, liking, commenting. Y'all already know I say this every time. And yeah, thanks to anyone who watched my bonus video this week. I don't know why I just called it bonus. Just like an extra video. I don't know. Last time I recorded 2 videos, so that's why I released 2 this week. I'm trying to do the same this time around, so we'll see if that happens. But yeah, that's all I've really got to say about this, so I guess let's just get started. So, starting off today's review, we've got the beginning of one of the most beloved and recurring parts of SpongeBob SquarePants, which is the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy series. It's kind of fun looking back at this episode because, like, in the last few months, I've been kind of being the operative word here, been getting into DC and Marvel comics, like, especially, like, Batman-related stuff. I mean, like I said, kind of is being the operative word there because I like still stand by my opinion that comics are hard as H to get into. It's just too complicated for me, okay? I went with a couple characters and I read their comics and that's that on that. Anyway, now that I like have that background, it's kind of easier to see like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, like the episode, as like the homage / parody that it is. Also real quick, but like, did anyone else as a kid just like completely not question like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy being humans? Like, first off, I don't even think it fully clicked for me that they were humans, and unless it was like brought up, I just kind of didn't think about it. I don't think I ever really thought about it until like that episode all the way in like season 7 or 8 on like Mermaid Man Begins, where like it makes it very clear that they're humans. Like, it's not like these characters don't look like humans either, because they like do. It just never really clicked for me, I guess. And like, that really raises a whole other set of questions, like why are they the size of SpongeBob and co? Like, if Frankendoodle already established that the people of Bikini Bottom are pretty small compared to the average human. I don't know. I shouldn't question it. But you know, I overthink SpongeBob. It's what I do, right? So I'm gonna question it anyway. Anyway, moving on. I think this episode is a pretty fun one. Like, it's one of those episodes that really leans into like the childish nature of SpongeBob and Patrick, and I think it does it pretty well. Like, even though I prefer when SpongeBob SquarePants as a whole like leans more towards the adult aspect, I don't hate when they make it childish, you know what I mean? But anyway, I think this episode does that pretty well. Like, the beginning segment of like the two playing Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy with an unwitting and unwilling Squidward is like really adorable. Not to mention filled with some pretty cool shots. I love that the two use donuts as their friendship rings, and I love that they bring this back, like, as like tribute to, you know, Ernest Borgnine, I forget how to say his name, and like Tim Conway, like that Mermaid Pants episode, and like I think there's other episodes also after that, like in seasons 11 and 12, that like have them pretend to be Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy again as like a tribute, because, you know, the voice actors have passed away, so I think it's cool that they've brought it back. But anyway, moving on, all the hijinks that SpongeBob and Patrick get up to try and meet their heroes in this episode are like pretty funny, or at the very least they're not boring. I'll get to this in a minute, but like the part with the purse and Patrick pretending to be a robber is kind of a great example of how this episode is very close to being great, but it falls a bit short on the execution, because like that joke is funny and there's a reason people remember it, but it's also way too slow for me, and it kind of feels like it drags out even though nothing really happens. So yeah, but I'll get to my critiques about that, like about the episode pacing and stuff like that, in a minute. Before that, I did want to say once again that SpongeBob and Patrick are really cute. It's cute to see SpongeBob, and to a lesser extent Patrick, be a fanboy over these two superheroes. And it's also absolutely hilarious to see the show's take on two elderly heroes, which is a brilliant idea, let me just say. And I must say, the SpongeBob writers do things quite a bit different than, let's say, Batman Beyond, am I right? Okay, yeah, that was really bad. Sorry. Couldn't help myself. Okay. Anyway, back to what I was saying earlier. This episode is a bit slow. Like, it drags on a few times for me. And, like, it's still a good episode to me, though. Like, I think my main issue is that even though I enjoy Mermaid Man and especially Barnacle Boy, they just aren't very compelling characters to me, which is why I'm glad that they have very limited appearances, and they're always at their best when they just, like, happen to be in the episode, or, if it's, like, a Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode. But anyway, like, I do think this episode is slightly underrated, though, because, like, when it's funny, it is, like, really funny, and I feel like no one really talks about that. Like, I feel like the other Mermaid Man Barnacle Boy episodes kind of overshadow this first one, and is that fair? Yeah, but it's still a thing that happens. I don't really have much to say about this episode beyond what I already have said. Like, it's probably at the bottom of the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy series for me, as in, like, the main 6 of them. But, I mean, I guess that just means that we're going up from here, so I don't really have a problem with that. So, yeah, this episode is in my good tier, and it comes up with a score of 7 out of 10. For our second review of the day, we've got Pickles, and oh my gosh, this is an iconic episode. This episode actually has some personal significance for me, because there's, like, this photo that I have, and it's, like, of me when I was, like, oh man, probably 4 or 5, and it's of me in, like, my living room, and you can see, like, on the little TV that we have in the background, like, a nice little box TV, Pickles is playing on the screen, actually. So I guess, like, this episode's really nostalgic for me because of that. And also just because it's a really good episode that I rewatched a lot as a kid, so it has that rewatchability factor and that nostalgia factor for me. But also, just this episode's simply iconic. Yeah. Real quick, I did want to say that this review is about to be really unscripted, so if you see me making a lot more pauses than usual, that's why. I just couldn't get myself to write a script this time, I guess. So we're gonna see what I have to say when I don't really have much to go off of, except literally the words of a, like, 3-month-old review. But yeah. One thing I really like about this episode is its production. Like, first off, it has this whole, like, old Western feel. And it's kind of funny for me to say Old Western right now, because I just got my copy of the Cosmic Shake. And, like, the first level that you do is that, like, Old Western Jellyfish Fields. So now I can't stop thinking about that level. And now I'm thinking about this episode. But anyway, that was a whole ass tangent. Oh gosh, I just cursed. Don't demonetize me, even though I don't actually get any money, YouTube, please. Anyway, so, like, I really like the old Western feel of this episode. It has the background music to go with it. And speaking of background music, they did this really cool thing in the middle of the episode when, like, SpongeBob's basically having his breakdown and Mr. Krabs goes and visits him. So they have, like, Dancing the Hula playing in the background, which is, like, one of the SpongeBob OSTs. But, like, they have it playing backwards, and I think that's really cool because it, like, shows that, everything's off with SpongeBob at that time. Yeah. It also has just, like, some cool shots that helps, like, make the whole old Western feel, and I love the, like, painting of, like, the Pickles under Bubble Bass's tongue in the end. Like, it's just there's a lot of detail in this episode, and I think it pays off very well. Speaking of Bubble Bass, like, although we'd see Bubble Bass, like, very little after this episode, until, like, more recently, because he's been featured in a lot more episodes now, he was, like, a beloved character for a reason. Like, Mads is funny, and he has so much personality in his short appearance in Pickles. Like, I mean, everyone knows his, like, egregious food order. Like, everyone knows that. I love the part where, like, he throws Squidward, and apparently, like, I definitely had heard this before, but I was reminded of it the other day when someone posted a tweet about how, like, the reason that he just, like, threw Squidward is because they needed Squidward out of the shot, and they couldn't figure out how to do it, so they just, like, had Bubble Bass throw Squidward out of the shot, which I think is hilarious. And it's also just a greatly animated moment, too, so that's always a plus. Speaking of characters in this episode, everyone is on their A game in this episode. Actual plot notwithstanding, I guess. Like, SpongeBob, Mr. Krabs, and Squidward are all just, like, great here. And it's always, like, nice to see, like, more sides to SpongeBob than, like, the cheery, happy sponge. Although, like, I love that side. That's my favorite side. That's why he's my favorite little guy. I love SpongeBob. But like, I also really like when Mr. Krabs is like actually a good boss to SpongeBob. So that's always a plus. Like, I really liked their relationship in this episode. I like that Mr. Krabs is the one to get SpongeBob back in shape. I love that like SpongeBob is like literally just like so tired of trying that like he starts yelling at Mr. Krabs, but then he ends up doing it correctly anyway. Like, I just love that moment. It's a nice precursor to other moments in SpongeBob that I really like. Spoiler alert, can you spare a dime? I love that episode. Anyway, Pickles is like full of iconic moments from beginning to end. And that can't really be said about a lot of episodes. Like, we have Bubble Bass's order, story of Squidward, is taking money from Mr. Krabs. Really love that part, that's hilarious. We got SpongeBob's whole entire breakdown from when he's in the Krusty Krab, from when he's in his house. We have Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob's training. Got SpongeBob getting mad at Mr. Krabs. And then like the final showdown at the end where it's revealed that Bubble Bass has the pickles under his tongue. And I love the whole like part where like everyone's getting up on him and someone's like, and there's my car keys. Like, that was just like so random. I thought that was hilarious. And then like, how many other episodes like have this many iconic moments? Like, not a lot of them. So that's really impressive to me that there's just so many great moments in this episode that like we can all remember. And like, it's funny because like even with all these like iconic moments and stuff, like Pickles, like this episode's status as like a classic is like kind of quiet compared to how people talk about episodes like, you know, Band Geeks, Pizza Delivery, Chocolate with Nuts, Graveyard Shift, like the like, you know? Like, people talk about Pickles and they rave about it, but it feels so much more subdued than how other episodes are praised. It's like its status as a classic is just like so understood that there's no need to shout it from the rooftops. Maybe that's just me because I really like this episode. It's definitely I'm pretty sure it's in my top 5 of this season. I guess I could look right now because I have my computer. Oh, wait. Oh, it's not in my top 5. Oh my god, I just lied. Sorry. It would be in my top 5, though, if, like, other episodes weren't. Oh my god, that was so dumb. I'd say it's probably number 6. Probably. But anyway, I just, like, love this episode. So, like, because I don't really have to worry about wondering whether this episode is overrated, because like I said, like, its classicness is like subtle, it's quiet, no one's like talking about this as the GOAT, so I don't have to worry about people overrating this episode, unlike some of the other episodes I just listed. And because I love this episode so much, it's definitely going to be part of my amazing tier. Like, it's never dull, I have no problems with it. I just really like everything about this episode. I love its atmosphere, I love its humor, I love its plot. Like, I have no problems with this episode whatsoever. So it's definitely in my amazing tier, and it comes in at a score of 9.4 out of 10. As always, I wanted to close this review off with some closing thoughts of mine. I actually wanted to start with talking about my review in general. Man, this one was so hard to edit for literally no reason. I don't know. For some reason, the voiceover part was really difficult. And there was also the fact that I did not give myself an actually decent script for at least Pickles. The other one I actually tried. So, yeah, that was a bit of an issue. So that's why the editing is a little weird in this episode in terms of, like, when photos come up, because I wasn't having it, so. But yeah, to actually like say any closing thoughts about my reviews, I enjoy both of these episodes. Clearly, I enjoy Pickles a lot more than Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, but neither of them are bad episodes, obviously. I am actually surprised that I didn't put Pickles in my top 5, which is like, man, that's kind of crazy that I'm already surprised by my rankings when it's literally been like 3 months since I made them. That just goes to show how like variable my opinions can be on these sometimes. I mean, like, the general gist always stays the same, but in terms of, like, you know, specific scoring or things like that, like, it can be pretty changeable for me. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say about these episodes. I guess just like, they're both really rewatchable for me, even if I don't like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy as much. But yeah, rewatchability always gets good points with me. I guess another thing I wanted to say with these closing thoughts is, like I said earlier, I did get my copy of the Cosmic Shake, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I've done 2 levels. I mean, other than, like, you know, the Bikini Bottom, like, home level. I've done let's see, Western Jellyfish Fields and like the movie level, like movie Bikini Bottom, and now I'm on like the Pirate Goo Lagoon. And like those are the 3 levels that I knew existed in the first place. So I'm really excited to finish this Pirate Goo Lagoon and see like what levels like I didn't even like know about like at all, like had no knowledge of. Because I'm really excited. But yeah. So I guess you'll just hear me talk about the Cosmic Shake for these next few reviews if I feel like talking about it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next review.